Welcome to a cool, crisp winter's morning here in Edinburgh. And just have a look at that incredible view. It's the 9th of January, and to me, this is one of the best times of the year to explore Edinburgh. Christmas is over, obviously. They're dismantling the Christmas market, and the bright lights and the bloat of Christmas are far behind us. It's now time to focus back on the local Edinburgh scene, rather than the general banality of the Christmas market. So today, I'm going to take my annual winter walk around Edinburgh. And if you're planning to visit Edinburgh in 2023, I hope today to point out some hotels, some places to eat, and some places of interest that you might want to add to your list if you're thinking of visiting. So let's go and explore winter in Edinburgh. I've started today's walk up here on Calton Hill, one of the best vantage points for fabulous views over Edinburgh. So that's the first thing for your list. Now, not opening until the end of 2023 is the W Hotel, right in the middle of the St James's Quarter, affectionately known by the locals as the Poo Emoji Building or the Golden Turd. That was a steep climb down from Calton Hill. I'm now on Royal Terrace with some great old buildings. This is one of Edinburgh's cobbled streets. Just look at some of these beautiful old school buildings. If you're into reading books, and by that I mean the real books that you can hold in your hand rather than the electronic ones on your Kindle, this is one of the best bookstores in Edinburgh. Toppings and Company, well worth a visit. You can lose yourself in there. Just behind me is Leith Walk. Now, Leith Walk is the final section of the Edinburgh Tram that's being built at the moment. In fact, they've been building the Edinburgh Tram for about the last decade. It's absolutely blighted the capital and caused untold traffic chaos. And unfortunately, a lot of the shops, restaurants and hotels down on Leith Walk have really suffered over the last 10 years because of these workings. So once they get this tram line open in summer 2023, it'd be great if we could all pile on back down Leith Walk and give these businesses back some business. Yeah, this is where the tram originally terminated, but now they've built it to go all the way down Leith Walk into Leith and beyond to Newhaven. Problem is, there's still a hell of a lot of work to do. Will they meet their 2023 target? These random giraffes outside the Omni Centre always make me laugh. Walking up from Leith Walk now towards Princes Street, and there ahead of us is the Balmoral Hotel and its famous clock. Yeah, the Balmoral clock is deliberately set 3 minutes fast. It's a way to make sure that people don't miss their trains, because you see the time and think, oh my God, I'm going to miss my train. And of course, when you get to the station, you've still got 3 minutes to spare. If you fancy splashing out, the Balmoral's going to cost you a minimum of about 550 quid a night. And that's just for a standard room. Once you start getting to the realms of suites, etc., it really is going to set you back a pretty penny. However, you can go into the Balmoral for afternoon tea, which is a nice way to see the luxury it affords without breaking the bank. A much cheaper option is just across the road here, Motel 1. Motel 1's going to come in much cheaper, probably under £100 a night if you book in advance. Next up is St Andrew's Square. And here's part of the operational tram network. If you're looking for great places to eat, there's a load of them in St Andrew's Square. Just there above the tram stop, we've got Harvey Nichols. Now, their restaurant right on their 4th floor overlooks the square. It's a great place to sip cocktails and eat fabulous food. Dishoom is a great restaurant to try, especially their big Bombay breakfast with the curried eggs and curried sausages. Highly recommended. Wagamama, if that's your thing. Actually, their fake squid made out of oyster mushrooms is absolutely delicious. Gaucho is an Argentinian steak restaurant. There's also Gordon Ramsay's Bread Street Kitchen and Bar. Have to say, I've never really been a fan of Gordon Ramsay's restaurants. Very overpriced for what you get, in my opinion. Have you ever been? What do you think? On the other side of St Andrew's Square, on the corner of George Street, is actually one of my favourite pizza restaurants, Amarone. What I love about Amarone, it's actually a converted old bank. Now listen, if you need to go to the loo, they're downstairs in the old vault, and you can actually see the gigantic gates and the doors of the safes. Here on George Street is also the George Hotel. Now this is not as salubrious as the Balmoral and therefore not as expensive, but it's really quite nice inside, and they have a hidden but very, very good coffee shop. So what about that coffee then? Was so strong, it was like rocket fuel, so I'm now suitably reinvigorated to continue my walk. It's mostly gone, but there are still some remnants of the Christmas market down at the bottom of the Scott Monument. The Scott Monument tends to get lost amongst all those Christmas stalls and rides, but now everything's clear, it stands out again. So it's well worth climbing to the top, but you've got to have nerves of steel. Those 200 or so steps are so steep and dark. But the views from the top are absolutely stunning. Still quite a bit of work to do dismantling the big wheel though. Some of the gondolas have already gone, but most of them are still attached. And there's Edinburgh Castle, looking superb, silhouetted against that beautiful blue sky. Now, undoubtedly, Edinburgh Castle will probably be close to the top of your bucket list, if not on the top of your bucket list. But don't forget Edinburgh's second great castle, Craigmillar Castle. I did a vlog about that a few months ago, and I'll put a link on the top of the screen so you don't miss it. That was Santaland down there. That's being taken apart now, and there's the castle, looking absolutely splendid today. Have I ever told you about Edinburgh's quirky little police boxes? Unlike the London police boxes, which everybody recognises now as Doctor Who's TARDIS, the Edinburgh police boxes are a much quirkier, much more regal design, and a lot of these police boxes, like this one, have been converted into cute little coffee shops. If you're looking for another posh hotel, this is the Waldorf Astoria. Now, previously, this was known as the Caledonian. Us locals called it the Cali Hilton. With an homage to the past, at least they've kept the name for the Cali Bar. This building used to be one of Edinburgh's railway stations. We're here in the West End now, and behind me is the Johnnie Walker Experience. Now, if you're into Scottish whisky, this place is a must visit. 4 floors of immersive experiences, virtual experiences, and of course, as much Johnnie Walker whisky as you can handle. And here's another of those quirky little police boxes. West End Brasserie, that's well worth a visit as well. Great wine bar just there, Le Divan et la Petite Folie. You can always find so many quirky buildings in Edinburgh, lurking down back streets. Normally on my winter walks I would go up to the castle, but we've done that before. Today I want to take you down into Dean Village via the Water of Leith. Now behind me is Dean Bridge, and there are some fabulous views of a river that cuts through Edinburgh with its own little valley. First of all, let's have a little wander along the bridge and look over down into the valley below. Are you ready for this? And from the other side, you can see how the Water of Leith cuts a swathe all the way through the centre of Edinburgh. Let's head down there. There we go, leading to Dean Village. Only problem with coming down here is the sun's so low in the sky at this time of year that we're going to be in shadow all the way through the valley. But it's definitely worth seeing whether or not. How pretty is this? These are the parts of Edinburgh that are right off the beaten track. Secret Edinburgh, well worth searching for. How pretty is that? I mean, it's actually hard to believe that you're in the centre of Edinburgh City here. And look, you never know when you're going to find a mobile coffee shop. This one's called Coffee Bike. Love it. And there's Dean Bridge from down the bottom. This is just spectacular. Let's take a walk under the bridge. You really could convince yourself that you are actually in the countryside near a little village with a river running through it. This doesn't feel like I'm in the middle of the city at all. But when the trees clear a bit, you can see the buildings high above. What's this little pavilion up ahead with a statue? Here we have another remarkable looking bridge across the water of Leith. We're heading into Stockbridge now. That's another part of Edinburgh that's worth having a look at for its shops, restaurants and crafts. Let's have a wander around Stockbridge now. This is the place you're going to come if you want those quirky little restaurants. No chain restaurants like Gordon Ramsay down here. One famous chef does have a restaurant down here, Tom Kitchen of The Kitchen, that's in Leith. This is his other place, the Scran and Scally. Look at those lemon meringues. Well, I've been so lucky today with the weather. It's been glorious up until now, but all of a sudden it's clouded over and started to rain. I think I'm going to have to find some cover. Well, the heavens absolutely open, so I had to take shelter for about an hour there. And this is pretty incredible. It's only about 3 hours since I walked past the big wheel, and look, they've got all the gondolas off. I have to say, that is pretty impressive and very fast work. Well, I really looked out early with the weather, but those beautiful blue skies have now turned to heavy grey rain clouds. Well, I'm almost back to where I started, right here in the shadow of the Balmoral Hotel. I always enjoy my little winter walk around Edinburgh post-Christmas. It reminds me what a beautiful city Edinburgh is. And I hope I've given you some tips should you be thinking of visiting Edinburgh in 2023. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Rog Vlog. Until the next video, remember, there's always something to see. So get out there and find it.